Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing our series on the 4 components of emotion. Today we're doing number 3, which is physical sensations, physiological sensations, however you want to say it. What our body does and how it reacts when that triggering event happens and our emotion happens. So I've got several examples for you today. As always, spoiler warning, today we're going to be looking at Puss in Boots, 5 Kingdoms Crystal Keepers by Brandon Mull, and The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. I'm really excited to get started with you guys, so let's go. Our first example today is going to show us kind of what these sensations look like and how they can be broadcast to readers, in this case viewers. One of my favorite examples of dealing with emotions is the movie Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, where Puss in Boots, the main character, meets death for the first time. And in this scene, it's really fun to see how his emotions switch from very, very confident movements to a lot of fear coming up. So let's watch this, and I want you to watch for what his body does, how you can see the emotion rather than hearing or figuring it out from thoughts like we've talked about before.
You are too good looking to retire.
As this scene starts, then you can see death coming into the picture. You can see Puss in Boots slightly slouching away from him, leaning away, slouched body language. His eyes flick around the bar. I would label this emotion as uncomfortable. Let's jump forward to after their fight scene. This is the first time someone has been able to draw blood from Puss in Boots. As this happens, you can see a lot of reactions coming up. We've got his pupils dilating, his hair standing on end, tense muscles, his frame is very tight and condensed. We've got crouched body language. And in the audio here, you can hear his heartbeat speeding up, and as well as his breathing starts to speed up as well. So that's a really great example of what we're looking for in this section. We're looking for those involuntary responses to emotion that happen in our bodies. Some of them are visual, like the ones in this example, and some of them are not visual. Think of butterflies in your stomach or any of those uncomfortable feelings in your chest with grief and sadness, or that bounciness inside with excitement. There's a lot of different ways that these emotions can be expressed, and it's likely that no two characters are going to describe them in the same way in the narration. That's a lot of fun with the internal parts of emotion, is that you can really tap into your character's personality and background and avoid cliches in explaining these emotional sensations by trying to think of how your character would uniquely describe them. What metaphors from their past would they connect to this feeling of this emotion? What other ways can you distinguish what's being said from other books in your genre? And of course, sometimes tried and true methods are good. It's just, as we talked about with the thought section, it's important to make sure you're not repeating too much and you're not relying too much on cliches to get the emotion across. Also, as you do this, I want you to think about how these emotions would feel to you. Drawing on our own experiences of where the emotion pops up in our body, what that feels like, and what we do with that can really help us to tap into our characters and make that experience more real to them and to the audience. So for example, what do you notice in yourself when you're feeling joy? Where does it come up? How does it manifest in your body language or your internal feelings? What do you notice in yourself for sadness, anxiety, fear, when you have a crush? Insert any emotion and just kind of see what you would be feeling as you try to write your character that way. Our next example is from the book The Knife of Never Letting Go. You might know it better as the movie Chaos Walking. I really love this section because it shows how to use the different components of emotion together to convey the emotion that the author is trying to convey. In this section, Todd, the main character, has just had an altercation with another character, Aaron. And Aaron, the preacher, is talking to him, threatening violence. There's a lot going on in this scene. And especially in Todd's narration, this is super close first person perspective, so there's a lot going on in his metaphors and his word choice to help convey both what's happening in his physical sensations and also his thoughts and actions, which is what we'll be talking about next week. So let's take a look at it really quick. I want you to watch out for, again, how he's using these different types of emotion. So we're going to start on page 7. And it says, "He leans down to me, his lips close to my face, and I can smell the breath that comes out of his mouth, smell the weight of it, like fingers grabbing for me. God hears," he whispers. "God hears." And he raises a hand again and I flinch, and he laughs and then he's gone, like that, heading back towards the town, taking his noise with him. I'm shaking from the charge to my blood at being hit, shaking from being so fired up and so surprised and so angry, and so much hating this town and the men in it that it takes me a while till I can get up and go get my dog again. What was he effing doing out here anyway, I think? And I'm so hacked off, and still so raging with anger and hate and fear, yes, fear, shut up, that I don't even look around to see if Aaron heard my noise. I don't look around. I don't look around. Okay, so that's just a short section, but it's jam-packed with emotions and expressions of that emotion. The ones that I saw that were physical sensations was the flinch, that was involuntary, reacting to his fear. The shaking, which he attributes to anger and hate. And so many of those different emotions that his body just can't handle it. He's just shaking. Those are great descriptors, and they're also simple. He didn't have to take a long time to tell us why and how this emotion was happening. We can hear it through the word choices that he's using and through the sensations that he's sharing through the narrative. Some extra homework for you guys is go back to page 1 and read from page 1 to page 8. You can get it for free on the reading sample on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. But go back, read it, and see how he shows anger differently throughout the whole thing. Todd is grappling with that anger that whole time, and it's very evident through motions he makes, thoughts that he shares, all of those different things. But it never feels like we're getting a repeat, even though he's still talking about and acting on that anger. So, really good example of how to keep things fresh while still staying in the same emotional state. Let me know in the comments what you find on how they did that. One last example that I want to share today. This example is going to be from 5 Kingdoms by Brandon Mull, the 3rd book, Crystal Keepers, and we're going to be on page 378. This one's a fun example because unlike our previous examples, this is a middle grade book, and also it's a happy emotion. This is a reunion between 2 characters. One character knows it's a reunion, one character does not, and that comes across through the emotion shared. Pulling off his helmet, the person revealed himself to be a boy about Cole's age. The kid stared at Cole for a long moment, his face lighting up with joy and relief. His huge smile looked involuntary. Tears shimmered in his eyes. "I can't believe it's really you," he said. The reaction left Cole confused. "Man, you really wanted to catch me." The hunter laughed, still looking delighted. "Yeah, I guess I did. You didn't make it easy." So, in this one, again, this is a happier emotion, and we get that across through his reactions. We get his face lighting up. We get involuntary smiling, tears in his eyes. We can tell pretty clearly this is happy, this is relief, this is excitement. You might have noticed in this narration that some of the emotions were directly labeled, sometimes more explicitly than they might be in more adult works. And that's okay, that's how middle grade fiction works sometimes. So that's one of the reasons why it's really important to read in your genre and see what is the norm and what is expected for that. Another thing I want to touch on about the physical sensations that come with emotion is that the physical sensations by themselves often can be from multiple emotions, and it depends on how the character interprets and acts on those that determine which emotion it is. For example, did you know that anxiety and excitement actually have the same physical symptoms? You get that increased breathing, that energy that's in your body that could either be excitement or it could be nervousness. It kind of depends on how you interpret what is going on inside your body and how you act on that. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And with that, I think that wraps up our section on physical sensations. Remember that this is another really great way to show the emotion that's going on, and it can be shown through outward expressions, which is very helpful for side characters you want to get the emotion from, and it can also be shown via internal sensations that are going on. Make sure that you try not to be too repetitive and to mix things up as you're explaining how your character's feeling, and you're going to do a great job of sharing those emotions